78 four-door Nova video update. So I've been flopping back and forth about the engine, and I was originally going to work with the 6. And then after starting to take the motor out, decided, well, since I'm going to take the motor out, I'm going to put something else in. Why not? I'll have an empty engine bay and all the potential. And that was all well and good until I tried answering the question, well, what am I going to put in there? I was going with the small block, like the 350 Chevy, because that's sort of ubiquitous and very modifiable, just a lot of options, a lot of parts available, a lot of engines available. And then Big Paw 64 had the 65 Vet 327. I think it's a 350 horsepower engine. Probably butchering this up, and the options faced with that choice, what I want to do with it, what did I want to put on it, I had no way of answering that. I didn't know how to go about deciding what it is, because my goal for the car was vague. I think I called it startling power. Well, that means a lot of things to a lot of people. And when I had the first one of these, straight 6, that was kind of startling at times to me. So there's a lot of power there. People ask the question, how fast do you want to go, or how fast do you want to get up to speed, and I couldn't even answer those kinds of questions. So I am slowing down on the destination part of the project, as far as making decisions about what the next motor would be, that kind of thing, and focusing more on the process, which is where I'm at, really, my learning, where I am in the learning curve. I'm learning what all these things mean, what all those choices are. And when I have a better idea of what I want beyond this engine, then I'll start making those decisions or doing the research into that, so I can make a more informed decision about what kind of carb, what kind of intake, what kind of exhaust, what other modifications do I want to make to the engine. Also, then, when I go hunting for a motor, I can determine whether or not those things have been done to the motor, or what other parts are with that motor have to offer. Stuff like that. I'm not ready for a scratch-built motor. I have no idea what set of parts to collect, and committing to the multi-year process that may be involved in making the ideal motor for me, especially when I don't know what the ideal motor is. So please forgive my ignorance. I'm learning, and I was getting ahead of myself with coming up with the next motor and making this a sleeper and all that. I'm gonna work on being competent at this level before trying to keep up with other people in the garage and the tasty projects that they have going, and horsepower in the upper range. Like, I am nowhere near for a Cheater 40 type project. Seeing that array of baffling parts and monster upgrade and 500 horsepower Darren was predicting. I am not there yet. And actually, I'm not sure that I want a 500 horsepower car. And if I had a 500 horsepower motor, it's not going to go in a 4-door. Okay? So I'm working on being competent and not getting ahead of myself. So for me, a guy that's relatively new to all things automotive, just since June, so we're just into October now, for me to be contemplating 350, 400 horsepower, I'm not ready for that yet. So I've got a lot of encouragement and support from people in the garage and a lot of positive feedback, people getting excited when I decided to drop more horsepower in the car, and that's well and good and very much appreciated. I love the support and information that's available in the garage, but I was getting ahead of myself, and I'm back on track. I'm back in my comfort zone of learning right now. Just because I'm going to school doesn't mean I'm ready for postdoc courses. So I think a lot of visions for what other people were hoping I could do is a bit over my head right now, and I am willing to admit that. So I think there will be fewer disappointments ahead for me by sticking with this right now. Certainly saving a lot of money by sticking with this motor right now, and maybe even working with some modest upgrades, experimenting with what those mean. What kind of performance do I get when I put on a different carb and intake and headers and exhaust, that kind of stuff, instead of, I'm not going, well, I'm going to start boring it out and I'm going to go for a 75% increase of horsepower. Not going to get that crazy with this engine, because I know that upgrades on this engine could rival upgrades on a small block V8, and I could spend a lot of money and still not get a whole lot of performance compared to a small block. So I'm not going crazy that way either. So working on being competent and maybe not all that exciting, because really it's a four-door. It's a four-door. I'm not going to try to get all sexy with a four-door. We can get sexy on my wife's car, the two-door, after this. And there will be project cars after this. So, I'm not building all this knowledge and tools and my workspace here just for this car and just for her car and stop. So that's where I'm at. And I feel much more on track than when I was thinking about a V8. So I hope I'm not disappointing to anybody out there, but if I am, I am. And it's my process here. And there will be other projects coming out of my garage other than just this one car. So hang with me, and I'll let you know what I learn as I learn it, and I'll probably ask lots of questions on the way, and I'll share it all. So, cheers.